Hey YouTube, what's going on? Hey, today we're going to be talking about seed starting, preparing for the upcoming gardening season. For those of us who enjoy gardening in the spring, we are excited because though it is not springtime yet, we get to have a little bit of spring started. Stay tuned. Hey y'all, what's going on? I want us to talk about gardening. You know, have a little garden chat. So I guess this is kind of like a vlog, not necessarily, but it's most certainly a chat about gardening. We'll see what it ends up being, then I'll title the video just that, right? All right, so I wanted to start off with talking about, have you just started thinking about your garden? If you've never gardened before, or if this is your umpteenth year gardening, what have you necessarily started putting in place? For myself, I usually plan gardening out, but I'm not strict about my details. However, this year I am. Reason being that I plan to sell some of the items that I grow, and because I have much more space than I have ever had to grow. So I am becoming a lot more detailed in my planning. With that being said, if you have never gardened, welcome to just the experience. Gardening is not hard. It can be as hard as you make it, let me say that, okay? But if you are thinking about gardening, I want to just go over some main things. First, pick out an area that you think would at least get 6 to 8 hours of direct sun, and that means like nothing, you know, impairing the plants, like nothing in between the sun and the items, your plants, okay? So that's one. 2, start thinking about the foods you enjoy cooking or the foods you enjoy eating. And I like to share that part because sometimes we can get very ambitious, myself included, when it's time to purchase seeds. And you're like, oh, this looks cool, this looks nice, or it looks, you know, like a different variety. And I don't think anything's wrong with choosing different varieties of certain items, like different varieties of tomatoes, different varieties of watermelons, different varieties of carrots, different things like that. But make sure it will be used, okay? I have made many mistakes with my ambition, thinking, oh, I'm going to plant, you know, like 30 kohlrabis, or I'm going to do a whole row of 60 radishes, and I'm the only one that eat radish. And, you know, so that can be fine if I eat radish all the time, but I don't. Okay, so you definitely want to consider what you are already eating and the type of food your family enjoys. You know, something that I have started doing, I have started purchasing cookbooks that are veggie heavy and not as much starch heavy. So I have some cookbooks, I have some juicing books, different things like that, to actually give me different usages with the items that I grow, with the produce that I grow. I keep saying items, I mean the produce that I grow. So start with your recipes in mind, things that you like to eat. And that may take even just a few, you know, hours, or like myself, a few hours on Pinterest of just pinning some things that you may even want to try that you think your family will like, but you know that the vegetable they for sure like. So like if you know carrots is something, like in my family, we eat carrots, we eat beets. And so I grow both of those very heavily. I eat them and we juice them. And so, you know, it's important to get recipes and consider when selecting your seeds, what are the items that we already use. And I guess also with that, what items do you find most valuable also when you're grocery shopping? Are you a herb shopper? You know, is doing lettuce and spinach something that you need to start, you know, growing, because it's the inflation amounts now are ridiculous, which by the way, grow your groceries, okay? Grow your groceries now. It's now it's like, honey, grow your groceries, okay? All right, anyway, I just went on for a little tangent right there. But so yeah, I guess that's number 2. Number 3 is your soil mixtures. So if you're going with seed starting, which is what I'm assuming, you can go with a seed starting mix. Some people go with things like a potting mix, and all of those things are you know easily purchased at your big box stores, Lowe's, Home Depot, probably even Walmart, and you know probably even online as well. But if you are looking to plant a lot of items like myself, I would suggest creating your own seed start mix. I have been doing this for a couple of years now, and it has profited me very well. I do believe heavily in starting things from seed, but to be honest, I have purchased starts also over the years as well. So both are good. It's just, what are you prepared to do, really? It all boils down to your time and your energy looking forward, you know. So soil conditions is definitely one. I'm going to, well, I guess I could just share. I was about to say I'll leave it in the description box, but for me, I'll tell you what my mixture is when it comes down to my seed starting mixture. And basically all I do is I take one of those big Sterilite tubs, you know, that you can purchase at any store. You know, it's like a big storage box and they have a lid, and I go ahead and I take some peat moss, and that's 3 parts peat moss, and 1 part compost, and half a part of perlite. Okay, and perlite is for the drainage, compost is for the nutrients, and the peat moss is to help it keep the airflow going on. So I take all 3 of those items, put them in their separate spaces, dump some boiling water in it, and that is really to kill off any fungus gnats, because sometimes when you have peat moss, you can have fungus gnat eggs in them, just in the packaging. I don't even know how that happens. Even if you were to buy a potting mix or a seed starting mix, I would suggest you putting in a dumping a pot of boiling water in there, mixing it around, just to kill off any potential fungus gnat eggs. Okay, and then, you know, of course drain it, you know, of course drain it out. But other than that, after all of that is drained out and back to a nice, you know, pliable texture, mix all of that together, and then start filling in whatever, you know, vessel you're using. Some may use some foam cups. Some people may use the big trays of seed starting trays. I use those also, or you may use whatever you want really to start some seeds. Okay, but definitely your soil, the the medium that your seed is going to be in, put that in there. Next thing, cover it up. You know, of course, according to whatever the seed packet says. If it says that to germinate it needs direct sunlight or it needs direct light, put it in a very sunny area. If it says that it needs to be in dark area, you know, cover it up with saran wrap. Well, both of them cover up with saran wrap or whatever plastic container you have over it, so that it can keep in the moisture and that it does not, so that soil mixture doesn't dry out. Okay, but definitely work on those two things, you know, making sure you're covering it up, but going according to whatever the light requirements are for germination. Once there is germination, we're off. You know, put it in a sunny area and you know, water as needed. I, for one, I like to water from the bottom. So like my items, my vessels are sitting in a whole nother big long tray, so I will pour the water into the big tray, so that the plants are watered from the bottom of the vessel where those drain holes are. The soil and the roots was you know, draw up the moisture. For me, it just is more neat, simply because when I pour over top, sometimes soil starts scattering all over the place, and then yeah, it's nasty. So yeah, that is definitely my method in starting seeds.